When the Greeks were around a couple of thousand years ago, the Iliad was the foundational text of their education. And people would sit in small groups, a bit like we're going to here, and they'd discuss the stories in the Iliad and talk about what it meant, what Homer was asking the audience to believe, and whether he was right. So that's what we're going to try to do now. I'm going to remove myself from the screen.
At this point, during the live stream, there was a technical error, where for 20 minutes, nothing could be heard bar the sound of the boat bobbing in the water.
I don't know who's still here. We thought that everything we were saying just then was being heard by you guys, but it seems like all we had was a boat.
Well, we still managed.
We did.
Yeah.
We have remembered it. Yeah, exactly. But it was we haven't actually.
We try and redo it in the oral tradition.
Yeah, I cannot.
I can't leave it.
Yeah, that is classic.
Should we get a question from Hugo?
Yeah.
Is Hugo still on?
We're on, Maddie.
We're
on
getting
there,
caught
we're
like
on
the
there.
high quality
Yeah.
version of like
Okay.
end of the night fun chat.
Yeah.
Everyone's like sat around the sofas being like, oh man, that's so deep.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is whether there's a way to have it so that we can be heard, but whilst also playing this. Surely that is.
Oh, look, here we go. We've got a question.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. What was the most interesting question in the discussion? So what we said is that for the Greeks there was no afterlife in the sense of heaven where you'd be rewarded for the good that you did and you'd be punished for the bad that you did. Everyone went to Hades, and if you went to Hades, you didn't have a body. It wasn't much fun. So the question was, what does it mean to live like that? How does it change the way you live, knowing that you're not going to be rewarded in heaven, and knowing that life is going to be pretty horrendous in Hades?
The conclusion was that it's quite similar to being an atheist, because you can't affect your life in the afterlife by how you behave now. So you just have to, well, slightly different views, but you just have to live life as it is, not really thinking about the afterlife. I think that was the conclusion. With a bit of divergence into, well, maybe you want to live a good life now so that when you're in the afterlife, you can remember those good memories and, enjoy the glory of when you were alive.
That's a pretty good summation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what else there was also the idea that you
spoke about doing, having glory for others to remember that glory. So more about what kind of impression of yourself you're leaving behind to others.
that mattering more than what you're going to experience yourself when you get in.
Yeah, and also explored whether or not we are all inherently selfish and whether or not we do good things on this planet because of what's going to, then the impact is going to have on us afterwards, or whether we just act because of the impact that it has on the world around us rather than selfishly what it might have.
And then there was a question around whether or not you ever do anything that makes you feel bad that is good.
Like something that is completely selfless rather than there ever being a selfish element.
The other thing I thought was interesting we didn't touch on was the extent to which they blame everything on other things. That whole this happened because.
It wasn't he was clumsy that he slipped over.
Yeah, it's not really. In the Islamic world, even today in 2021, that's still a big thing. You're like, inshallah, and you're like, no, you'll be at that fucking meeting tomorrow, and they'll be like, yeah, inshallah, and you're like, okay. But obviously, it was a big thing. It's not so much a thing for our culture now, but obviously for those guys, it was a big thing. It's like, I had a horse crash because somebody put a stick in the way, so I think you didn't do your saddle up properly.
Yeah, that's true. In a way, it takes away the individual responsibility. Although there were still things that you had to do, like the reason why he missed the bird is because you haven't done enough prayers for Apollo.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird mixture
Yeah,
of the two.
there was like, sorry, I missed
Yeah.
the meeting. I completely forgot to pray yesterday, and God
Yeah.
God skipped all of my trains this morning.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm sorry I missed the meeting, it was the God's fault. It's like, yeah, but the gods intervened because you did something else wrong, so it's still your fault.
Yeah. But I could, in a way, it's still comforting because there's kind of fate has stepped in and taken it out of your hands.
Yeah.
But it's kind of related to the kind of natural nature of a person as well, which reminded me a bit of star signs, where you are this way because you were born at that time of year. And I think some people really like that because it takes some responsibility away from them.
Yeah, it takes away the anxiety that you were talking about in your talk.
Yeah, that really nailed it, I thought.
Yeah,
What you
agree.
said there about how if you do have this freedom, suddenly you're like, but whatever I end up doing is never going to be as good as it could be.
And also, it's much more on you. It's much more anxiety.
It's punishing.
Yeah, what should I be doing?
And just
The
always like
paralysis
more,
choice.
more. Like what can I become even better than what I've already become? And if you feel you're always free, then there's never a limit. But if you believe in the star signs or essentialism like the Greek, then you are limited to it. Hold back your expectations.
Did Simone de Beauvoir and
Double Sarge.
ever did they acknowledge that sense of yes, they have freedom, but actually you can feel not free because of that freedom?
Yeah, what was interesting is that they built that philosophy out of World War II, where freedom was massively inhibited. And they had what they called necessity and contingency. So necessity is what they related to destiny, where you have this choice that you can make. And then contingency is the contingency of what happens outside of your control. That's the existential language that they use. But in their own relationship, because they wanted to find a way that they could bring this existential philosophy into a very complicated relationship that they decided to follow it. So what they did is they said, you and I are the essentials. We're essentialism. We have to stay together. We're the necessities, would be their language. But they both appreciated that over time there might be characters who enter their lives who they fall for, and they're the contingencies, a bit like the shoes that come down. And what they said is, look, you can say hello to those shoes and you can have a story with them, but they can't ever conquer the fundamental necessity, which is that we need to get that food to the table. And they set up that structure, so they were number one. They were really early. There's loads of different ways to be polyamorous, but it was a structure, a way of having a certain polyamory. And it was a 4-year contract. So they said that we'll try that for 4 years, and after that's finished, we'll see how we go the next 4 years. There's another 4 years, and they spent the rest of their lives together. But they had ridiculously complicated relationships in the meantime, because if you say yes to every single contingency, it's gonna be messy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very, very messy. That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally.
Yeah, I suppose the sense of lack of freedom with freedom. Yeah, maybe that's like the negatives that would come about through the contingent relationship.
Well, they focused on the freedom. That's what I find so interesting. Like, and people are probably doing it during COVID, like now. Like, we've had our freedoms curtailed, but at a time when we've had more of our freedom taken away than ever before, people are doing things that they were always free to do, but they haven't been doing. So we're actually focusing more on that, and they did the same thing. They're like, look, we're gonna allow those other relationships because we know how hard it is to deal with a life where there's restrictions outside of our control.
Although I think sometimes restrictions outside your control can get us.
Definitely, that's what I agree with. That the anxiety.
Yeah.
It's very simple. In a monogamous relationship,
Yeah.
1 and 1, done.
Yeah.
Problem solved. But the further you move down the freedom path, the more complicated it gets. I was chatting with a friend. She's describing me some of the stories that she's in a relationship, but she's also with a couple, and she's also with an ex-boyfriend. And sometimes I just hear little snippets of it,
And I get so exhausted just beginning to contemplate what it must be like for the couple on both sides, for her, for the boyfriend, the other lovers. I get in such a knot that sometimes I can't even hear the stories. It's too much. I just want to just let me just. Or
Should you
maybe
enjoy it?
no, I don't know. Because enjoyment is a difficult one. Because a lot of what we find meaningful, we don't necessarily enjoy. So it doesn't necessarily preclude it from being worthwhile.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that much fun.
On a much more basic level, I read a thing that most people feel way more stressed on the weekend than they do on the weekdays. It's like Monday to Wednesday. There's like no freedom. Whereas it gets to the weekend, you're like, there's a million things I can do. And if you're not doing something, you're like, fuck, why aren't I doing something? I should be doing something. If you are doing something, is it the best thing? And you cram your day and you're like, and you're probably hungover or something. Whereas Monday to Wednesday, you're like, there's no freedom. Yeah, I can just relax and do it.
Oh,
That is so depressing. But it is kind of, that fits to people's sort of life visions as well. In a way, if you just had your routine Monday, well, your routine all the time, and you were thrown into a box, and you just had to meet that, it would be simpler. You know, you wouldn't be worrying, oh, should I be pursuing this career? Should I be pursuing this lover? Should I be doing this? Maybe it would be simpler.
It's like wearing
that's
uniform.
depressing, the thought of it. If life really was like that.
I used to love
the
wearing
stress
uniforms.
Yeah,
Made
exactly.
life so
Decide-
much easier.
You don't have to decide
I
what to
basically
wear.
the same
Yeah.
thing every day now anyway.
It's like wearing
Yeah, me
business
too.
business wear
Yeah.
to the office was kind of simplified it in lots of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, because at your school you could wear home clothes.
Yeah. Lots of people find it very stressful because every day, you know, less as a dude, to be honest, at that age, but for girls, it was quite a nightmare. You know, like 16-year-old girls don't have to worry about every day thinking like, I need to wear a different outfit to what I wore yesterday, and like this.
Yeah.
You've really got enough to worry about. That seems free, but as you say, actually, it's just like the constraint of just being like, I've got to put these clothes on. That's another thing I don't have to worry about today.
Yeah, and it gives you the freedom to do other things.
Yeah.
Think about other things.
Yeah.
I also think particularly if you've been born with a lot of privilege, you also there is an anxiety or stress to meeting up to the fact that you've been given all this opportunity and you could pursue or do something really great for the world. And if you end up, you know, just being a lawyer, which is what I am, is that actually just like a waste of the privilege that I was given? Is that the right thing for me to have done? Should I have done something that's actually much better for the world generally, or you know, could I have done something that would have been better for me or better for the world? I think there's an anxiety and a stress with that too. It's always the way. I think you have more choice and more, responsibility to kind of meet up to the opportunities that you have.
I agree. Yeah.
I think it's pretty
Don't
great.
say that.
No, sorry, I didn't mean it in a fishing way.
No, I mean like a low level, not like I am. I'm doing
Just
really
being an award-winning human rights.
Yeah.
You see, that's the thing.
was chatting to a martini the other
That's
day.
them things going into I've gone into law. I'm not in human rights.
Yeah.
Human rights. You know?
Yeah. No, but you're in family law.
I know.
Also, we haven't discussed yet, and might as well discuss it now, but I am keen for each person here, if possible, to do a different talk. So,
I love how he
Here
brought
we
this in
go.
now, like, at the end of the night.
I haven't brought it up yet, because obviously one way is for me to keep doing, and there would be other talks to discuss, but part of the reason why I chose you guys originally is because I thought that you would each deliver a really interesting talk, and also I wanted you to be here.
I suppose it depends on what we do our talk on, though. Have you got preconceived ideas of what we might do a talk on?
No,
Oh, you just think we would do it.
no. Well, I mean, I've got obviously some ideas, but my visions are probably going to be set by your vision, or most likely in some instances, if you guys are willing to do it. Yeah, what are the thoughts?
I could talk about art for a bit.
Yes, Maddie. You know what? I did have a feeling that Maddie would go, yeah, I reckon I can talk about art.
I will be terrified and
Yeah,
I'll be shaking and my voice will be wavering, but I can try.
that would be brilliant. Yeah.
In general, or is that like something a bit more specific, but I don't know what yet.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Well done, Maddie.
But I'm not next.
Well done, well done, Maddie.
Well done, Maddie.
That's great.
See you next Thursday.
Maddie.
That's great.
I'll do something on something. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, then everyone's doing something. What have you got? Well, we're on 50-50. It's last half.
I will do something. I just have to think about what.
Yeah, no one has to do anything, but I would really like it. I think it would be cool. One thing I thought would make it a bit easier is for people to commit, because it is a time commitment aside from everything else, and we do value our freedom today, as we have been discussing. I thought that it doesn't necessarily have to be the same 6 people here every day, as long as it's the next 6 talks are given by the 6 people here, because then it would mean that you wouldn't have to commit so much time. Yeah, I did have that.
How often are you thinking?
About what?
How often would be events?
Brain, 6 hours. Maybe.
Yeah, I sleep for a few hours every night. Well, I mean, really, I want to do it every week, but there are complications around how easy it is to find a different musician to do one every week. So it might be more realistic. I have got someone who's volunteered to do some music, and then we know people I think will do great performances. So I'm sure it could be delivered. Yeah, but every week, then it would be done 6 weeks. The whole season would be complete, 6 episodes, 6 talks, 6 discussions, 6 performances.
666.
And we're in Hades.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And 60. So we're up, maybe.
Yeah, let's say goodbye to the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, guys. Whoever the 4 people are who are still here, thank you so much for enduring the boat on its own
For 10 minutes.
for 10 minutes. You know what, actually, though, is worth doing, is that we'll say our goodbye, and we will let the boat just run itself out, because it is nice visuals and nice music. But yeah, no more from us. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks to all of you guys.